everybody, this is Remy and I am going to walk you through creating an ELDP in Alpine. So we had to name it English Language Development Plan so that we didn't replicate other plans in Alpine. And when you go to Alpine, you will see that it's called the ELDP, the English Language Development Plan. So what I have done is I've logged into Alpine, and that you can access either through My Alpine, the link through the Douglas County School District, or you can go to Inspired and down to Student Data to get to the link to Alpine. You'll use your single user sign-on. Charter schools, you will use your Infinite Campus sign-on to get into Alpine, and you should see a window that looks like this once you're logged in. Notice you have different things at the top here. You have students, you have measures, you have groups, etc., etc. We are going to go in measures. All plans are in measures. You'll see that you have class schedules, state assessments, local assessments, and plans. And when you click on plans, you'll find the DCSD ELDP and click on that. So once you're looking for that, you can see the DCSD ELDP and any other plans that you have access to, and you'll click on that. So notice right here in the top left corner, you have this window that says DCSD ELDP. So everything you do from now on is within this plan. That's something that you need to know about Alpine. Whatever is listed in the top left corner is kind of where you are in the database. You will click on Students to create a plan. And I'm going to go into a demo school so that you don't see actual students' names and I don't change any students' accounts. But you will select your school and then a student in your school. So when we're creating a plan, we want to start by clicking on this green plus. So you'll select the student that you want to write a plan for. Select the green plus, and you will be brought to a screen that looks like this. This is the very first page of our English Language Development Plan. So you'll see this will auto-populate. You do not have to type anything on this page. You'll see the student's name, the reporting period, which is this school year. You'll see the plan start date, and whatever date you actually begin writing the plan is the start date for the plan. So you can see my date says September 13th, that's today. And then you should see the school that you are writing the plan for and the grade number and the grade level. And then you'll click continue. Once that page opens, you'll see a number of sections to this plan. So these green arrows open and close sections. When the section is open, it is red. When it's closed, it is green. This is exactly the same as that in general information, exactly the same as that first screen. So it's carried that information forward. When you start to write this plan, you will open up each section and complete the information within each. So the first section is student information. For a real student, the birth date should auto-populate. You will document the home language, and if it's, you can type or you can click. So I'm just going to enter Spanish. You will notate the student strengths here. And then you will need to look at Infinite Campus to see the actual enrollment date for the student. So if they enrolled in Douglas County in 2018, you'd enter that, 7/1/2018, and then their current English language proficiency. Now, Alpine has a few rules around this. They are not allowed to remove FEP, Monitor Year 1, Monitor Year 2, or Exit, or Not Tested. You will never click these in this plan. This particular plan is for NEP students and LEP students only. So you will click NEP or LEP. The remaining proficiency levels are not valid in this plan. So I'm going to click LEP. And then Alpine has a plan or a page in Alpine that is specifically Colorado assessment accommodations. These accommodations are aligned with the CDE matrix that's released every year, and Alpine will update these. So what happens here is when you click this, you will see that it can bring in the student's accommodation plan. So what's really important is for you to connect with your school assessment coordinator to determine what accommodations a student who is an English learner, who is an NEP or an LEP, what accommodations they receive on CMAS and Access and possibly SAT and COGAT. So if you have not done that yet, please do meet with your school assessment coordinator to identify the accommodations that the student would need. You can add accommodations to update the record, but I would not do that without consulting your school assessment coordinator first. So I'm going to go back. I'm not going to actually walk through that. Let's see if we can get back to our actual ELDP. So I've gotten back to the ELDP that I was writing, and the things that I had weren't saved because I didn't click save, so I'm going to need to enter Spanish again, and I can scroll or type. So Spanish, why am I not seeing it? And then we've brought in the Colorado assessment accommodations. And then, because Access is a federal assessment, we are working with Alpine to work these into this Colorado assessment accommodations page. Right now, you will need to list any student's accommodations for Access here, or any unique accommodations that students might have. If they need a test in Braille, if they need to have large print, if they need a unique accommodation that requires prior CDE approval, depending on whatever that is, you need to list that here. We are working with Alpine to get some things added to that accommodations page. So if there is an accommodation that is missing and it is approved, you will list additional accommodations here. And that is the entire student information section. Then you can open parent information, and you can actually close these before saving. Parent information is open now. This is all information, obviously, about the parents. So does the parent require an interpreter? If they do, you're going to select yes, and which language. Did they decline services, yes or no? Now, if they do decline services, this is the end of the plan. So if you click yes, you'll use this pop-up in blue. So I'm going to close that and show you that one more time. Whenever there is text in blue, there's a pop-up behind it. And you will click on that and add it to this plan. You will then end this plan after this section. There will be no more additional information in this plan if the student is on a parent refusal. You would click if the parent gave permission to receive information including student data via email, you'd say yes or no. I'm going to say yes. You would document their email here, and you would document their phone number. And then you would save, and it is the end of the plan. So that is something that for parent refusal or parent guardian refusal, that's the process. For the purposes of today, I am not going to indicate a refusal, so I just deleted that. If you enter something you don't want to save, you can delete it. And then I am going to use this quick save option. You can see then we won't lose anything, and we're certain if the internet goes out or something like that that we won't lose it. Then I'm going to close that parent section. You don't have to close it, but for a screencast it makes it easier. You have your assessment and data analysis section. In this section, you can add any information from Alpine that exists for this student. This is a pretend student, remember, so there's going to be some fake data in here. But any data that you have in Inspire or in Alpine, you can pull into this plan. And then you can select, see these little boxes to the left? You can select any relevant data that you actually want to include in the plan. So I've selected a few things there and finalized selections, and those will be part of the plan. And so you can see above that has been pulled right into this particular plan. You will find historical data in Alpine and this year's data. You can include iReady or MAP or whatever is actually in and loaded into Alpine. The progress monitoring reports, we are going to dive into this as a department. You can add any progress monitoring reports that have been loaded. We'll have iReady in there and possibly some other options for teachers to use. You can also create your own, and that's what we can explore together this year. The next section is data interpretation narrative. This is that old question. If you were here last year, what do the data mean, which we wanted to change? So we've actually changed it completely to data interpretation narrative. So you will simply describe what the data that you're looking at actually means. And so you will describe that here. You'll mark whether or not they have a 504 or an IEP, so yes or no. I'm going to click no. You can pull in a read plan. You can pull in an ALP. And so this particular fake student doesn't have one connected, but if there was an option, you would be able to see that there. And then you're done with that assessment and data analysis. And I'm going to quick save again. Then you move on to ELD programming and student goals. This is where you will outline the student's specific programming. You'll see a drop down to get some ideas for what you might put in this section. So this particular section is going to have some collaborative instruction and a co-taught class and some push-in. So those three things I'm going to add to this plan. And then I am going to create one goal in the language domains of speaking, listening, reading, and writing, and a post-secondary workforce goal. And we'll talk about that one in a moment. I'm going to look at my areas of data and tie this goal to the data that was indicated above in assessment and data analysis. So I may choose the area of writing. Remember that we need one goal in the language domains. Every student may not need goals in every single domain. You may do more, but the requirement is one goal. WIDA's key uses are linked in this pop-up. They're directly from WIDA.us, and Alpine will absolutely update these as WIDA updates their information. These are all aligned by English language proficiency and the key uses. So we have recount, explain, argue, and I see one is missing. Recount, explain, and argue are entered at this point, and you can create your goals around that. We're going to pretend that this student is a level 4 or is a level 3 moving to a level 4 on Access. So I'm going to click on this pop-up, and I'm going to say, okay, for the key uses, we are going to align to describing a series of events or procedures. This could be used in the area of science, social studies, or math, or in language arts. And the description may be something like this. The student, such as, and then you might continue on. So the student will describe events of a story using complex sentences and technical vocabulary such as ... We do have a goal bank if you would like to look at that. Truly base your goals on the data that you have for students, and it is recommended that you have one goal or more if necessary, but one is required. The strategies or interventions to achieve that goal
There may be a specific program that you're going to use. There may be some time developing oral language that may be used. There may be an interventionist that will work with you, or co-teaching setting that you might put here for intervention. So it's really, what is the general intervention or strategy used to do that? So I might say oral language development, including academic conversations protocols. And that is the main intervention that I'm going to use for this student. Then you will outline what the classroom teacher will do. And so we might say that they are going to provide small group instruction or other strategies. It is important, it's critically important for you to connect with the classroom teacher while writing this plan to see what they agree to do. So please don't just assign the classroom teacher a task or a strategy before talking to them. Then you will mark what you are going to do. So I am going to front load, co-teach, and let's see, provide visual supports for this oral language development. I will talk to the family and see what they are going to do. This particular family will read in their native language. They will provide a quiet study time, and those are the two main things, or study area. Those are the main two things that they will agree to. And then the student, same thing, connecting with these people is critically important. I want this student to read every day. I want them to read in their native language, and I want them to complete their homework on time. So those things can be populated. I am going to set a review date for this particular goal for December. You may set your goals for semester or sooner. So each goal should be reviewed at least at semester end. So I'm going to say 12/15/2018. And once we review this, so this is a living document, once we review the goal, in December, when I review it, I may modify it, I might discontinue it because it doesn't make sense anymore, I might continue because there's growth but we haven't accomplished it yet, or we might intensify interventions. So one of these would be checked in that December timeline. Again, your review date can be set for the semester end or sooner. You can have a shorter goal, you'll just be writing additional goals. And then any goal review notes that you want to make, you would indicate here. Please keep in mind that this is visible to parents and teachers and the student. So this is something, just be aware of who your audience is when you're doing that. The second goal that you will write is your post-secondary workforce goal. This is also aligned to key uses. Alpine will link key uses here. They are working on that. You will talk to the student about what their goals are in education and after school is over. Even elementary students can have an idea about what their passions and interests are, and while they will absolutely change and grow throughout their school careers, they should have an idea of what they really want to do and some dreams and aspirations that they might have. There are specific programs that we will be talking about throughout this year as well. So if this goal is a skeleton kind of goal right now, that is fine. We are going to be solidifying some guidance for particularly middle school and high school about what exactly you might write in this. But in general, really looking at how do we leverage the passions and interests for students to reach toward something beyond school. And so the process is exactly the same as what was outlined above. How does it connect with language and language development, and what language development supports are needed to achieve those post-secondary workforce goals. You'll set the review date, the recommendation, and the review notes, and that is the end of the goal section. Then we have some sections, so I'm going to quick save this little section here too with the goals. And the last part of our plan, and I should have closed it, but the last part of our plan is documentation. So there are places for you to use an interpreter to communicate things about this plan. So if you're having a family outreach event, this is not where you would document the use of that interpreter. But if you're attempting to contact the parent about a goal or about some academic progress toward a goal or concerns about a goal, that's where you will document the use of an interpreter. And this section may stay blank if the parent doesn't need an interpreter. So you'll simply say the date, mark the date that the interpreter was used, the name of the interpreter, and the reason. And so you can see that this was something that you can document different purposes around English language development. The next piece is the parent guardian contact log. Now, it is best practice to keep a contact log that is specific to other types of contact rather than what is contained in this plan. And we encourage you to do that. Anytime you contact a parent, you should have some sort of documentation. That said, this section is specifically about contacting the parent to obtain signatures and communicate about this particular plan. So when you contact a parent, and we do have a number of parents who are challenging to get in touch with, so you can contact them via phone, you can contact them via email, a letter, or you're getting them in car line and saying I needed to connect with you. These are your attempts to actually contact them about this plan and obtaining signatures and ensuring they understand what their student's plan is. So you'll see the date of parent contact, the type of parent contact. If you are signing ELLPs in conferences, you'd mark that. If there was an interpreter necessary, their name, and then any notes about this contact that you want to document. So you have 3 spaces for that. If you have attempted to contact a parent 3 times, this is your documentation that you have done your due diligence to get in contact with them. So that section will at least have 1 item filled out. It may have all 3. The next part is your document attachments. So this is where we will also discuss this at length throughout this year. We are moving away from having paper files and electronic files simply housed in either your computer or in your file room or file drawer. This is now becoming your working document or your working file. In your working file, you will want to upload a body of evidence to eventually, and maybe over more than 1 year, lead to redesignation. And we will be very specific throughout this year as to what goes in this file cabinet, essentially. So initially, you are going to put your identification paperwork in this area. This is in addition to uploading it to Infinite Campus and sending it to us. So this is essentially your working file that you would have at school. Then we will be discussing further this year what to put in these other places. All 10 may or may not be used depending on what you actually need and what is or is not available in Alpine. So we will talk about that more later, but initially you will need to upload your identification paperwork here, and it's as simple as choosing a file and adding that scanned document to this location. The last thing that you will do is complete this ELP plan review and next steps, and I will have them fix that because that should be ELDP. The school contact person is you, so this is me. My email, and I don't know why that's saying Kurt, but it is. And then we are just confirming that your identification paperwork has been uploaded into Infinite Campus. And so I will click yes because I would have uploaded that into the area for our identification paperwork. And then the parent is going to sign here. So once they have walked through this plan with you, the parent will physically type this in. And then I would type my name here. And then we would validate, actually first, Then you can notify people. So if you want this plan to go to a group of teachers, or you want to send this to your principal, then you would add the name of the group. And so I might say fake ID paperwork. Okay, you will put the group in there. You'll enter your recipients. You don't want to use entire district. Please don't do that. And you would go to the profile. So if the profile is selected, so my permissions are different than what you will see here. So this is where you will have to look and see what you have access to do. Then you will send that to the group of people that you want to send it to. So you'll need to look in your group to see who you're sending that to. Once you've selected that, it will show up here. And then you can click validate, save, and close. And that will save. I need to unclick this because I don't really want this to go places. Validate, save, and close. And then this will be visible in the student's file in Alpine. Oh, and because I don't have all of the required areas, because this is a fake student, I can't actually save the entire thing, so I'm just going to close it. And that is how you write an ELLP. Look for more information coming soon, and we will walk through specific parts of this more in depth throughout the year. Thanks.